Welcome to the new episode from our Devops Linux course. In the last episode, we cover some basic commands, how to move through the terminal, through the system using the terminal, and maybe a little bit about how commands works. In this episode, we are going to cover mostly commands or basic commands, maybe like create a directory, create a file, copy files or directories, move files or directories, remove files or directories, look into files and directory, and more. So I hope this video will be helpful, and let's continue with this. We are start with something basic: how to create the most basic unique unit in a system. If you are asking what is the most basic unit in a system, maybe I consider like a subject, subject, opinion, files. So let's create our first file. And for this one, we have to use the touch command. Touch doesn't stand for nothing. It's just touch, like, you're touching something. And you have to specify the file's name. In my case, I don't know. My pretty file. Maybe you have to understand something different than maybe operating system like Windows. And that's it, extensions. I need you understand that extensions technically are nothing. Doesn't mean or works in a different way depending on the extension. I tell you this because in Windows or on Windows, you use extensions to execute or perform different operations. And once you change the extension, Windows will warning you about, hey, I can't work if you don't use the correct extension, because depends if you're using a Photoshop file like PSD, or if you are using an executable that stands to .exa, or maybe using I don't know, media file like MP3, MP4, WAP, etc. But on Linux, we have to understand two different types of files, and these are text plain. In the other side, plain text and binary files. And what does that mean? Plain text, as you can understand, is just text in a readable form. For example, in this file, I can write for myself a plain text content. In the other hand, binary, that means is a file that was created by another application, and only the application knows how that file works. So the most basic example from binary is just the binary executable application we use in our operating system. But on the other hand, PSD, it's a binary file because you can open it like a plain text. I don't know. Let me see if I have some. Well, for example, an image or a video, it's a binary itself because we can open using how can I say this? Plain text editors or just text editors is something like it's impossible. As you can see, this is not this isn't something that we cannot understand, and that has a lot of sense because binary format is almost used to create or maybe save information in a determinate way. So depending if we are talking about video, MP3, executable, I don't know, I don't know what kindly something. Yeah, you already understand what is a binary. So depends on that. Mostly binary files are created by programs, and plain text maybe also can be created by programs, but also can be created for users. So in my case, I already create a plain text file until I do something that turns my pretty file dot whatever in something binary. But understand the extension doesn't matter. It's just the file itself that matters. Because as you can see in the last episode, we use user being htop. You don't see a extension because we don't need extensions to execute something. It's just like htop, you're welcome. So that's the reason why how this works. Maybe you are used to open application in Windows using .exe or something like that. I don't know how to pronounce it in English, but you understand that stands for executable. That is the same. It's different. For example, double click to executable because you are going to open a program, and pretty different double click to a plain text file and just open the text editor. So it's pretty different. That's the different itself. So we already have our command. Remember, use the ls. I forgot at the last episode tell you that ls stands for list, just list files. So if we use this, as you can see, we have different files that I just forgot remove, like this one, and this one. Yeah, you already know how to delete, but ignore that. We are using ls, and as you can see, we have my pretty file dot whatever. Please, commands are more complex than you see, because ls is not just ls. Commands also accept or receive params. We can use params using the this one character. We use the hyphen character and pass maybe a certain word or just one letter to specify what we want with this operation. For example, the most basic is use L to make a readable format in this way, because we have more information about it. We have permissions, we have this one, I don't remember what is it. This is the author, the main group, the size, as you can see, is just 0 bytes because it doesn't have content, the creation or last update, and the file's name. But also we can use another ones like A to show hidden files, like the current file character, that is one, and the on top or before folder, that is the before level or the last level. Or also we can use, for example, H to convert bytes in something more readable, like kilobytes, gigabytes, and more. Well, we don't have enough size for show that, but imagine if I don't know, if we use 100,000 bytes, that means we are using 1000 kilobytes or 1 megabyte. So that's the reason why we use H to improve that reading. You can use the man command, that stands for manual, to understand how the commands work and what type or kind of params they receive. In that way, I'm sorry, I'm just doing something. You can use this one and use ls, I'm sorry. And maybe this is these are the two different ways to use params or arguments, like use the letter and use just one hyphen, or use the word itself using double hyphen. In this case, you see that I use a to not ignore entries starting with dot. That starting with dot is just hidden files or folders. So also I can use ls all, and I have the same result. Maybe, I don't know, I'm going to take the risk. No, it's not list, I'm sorry, is stand for ls l. Okay, l doesn't have a word representation, it's just l, so depends on the argument. But yeah, maybe if you are boring, you can spend your whole time memorizing each ls argument. So that's it. But maybe the most basic is just I used to use this one, and that's all. Maybe some people tend to create shortcut like ll to use, for example, ls and l. ll is like this one, ls l, maybe to make this more faster, to make this faster and more. Hey, I create a file called ls. Okay, I don't know where I create this one. I'm sorry. Okay, this is pretty weird, but okay, let's remove this one and let's add some content to this file. So that's the following command is, well, depends. We can use echo or echo, I don't know how to pronounce that, and keep some content and use this character that we are going to cover in following episodes, that allows to redirect the standard output to our file. In my case, my pretty file, whatever. So once we give that context, let's use the next command, that is cat. Cat allows see all the file content. So we can use cat my pretty file, whatever, and we are going to see all the content about this. This is important because if our file has 1,101 million of lines, this command are going to show all of them. So be careful with cat, because maybe if your file is how can I say this, is little, is not big, you can use cat. But maybe it's pretty big, you can use another command that we are going to cover in a few minutes. So that's cat. Let's maybe make this more interesting using the other commands that maybe you can use if you don't want to see the whole content from a file, and that's come from head and tail. And yeah, this is a play word from the cat. I don't get infography or something visual, but it's like a game wars, because cat is the whole file. Head, if you don't pass argument, will show you the first 10 lines from a file, and if you use tail, you are going to see the last 10 lines from a file. You can shade that, but yeah, cat is whole file, head first 10 if you don't pass an argument, and tail the last 10 if you don't pass an argument. So let's see. Maybe we're going to use a text editor like Nano. For example, Nano used to come already installed in most of Linux distributions, so be sure if you already have installed Nano. I'm 90% sure that you already have Nano, and if you don't have Nano, well, depends on your distribution. You can install sudo apt install Nano, or maybe you can also use sudo pacman S Nano, or if are using some Linux distribution from Red Hat family like Fedora. In my case, I can use sudo dnf install nano. I already have installed nano, so let's see. I can use an open nano, but I'm just open a empty file. So let's go back and open my pretty file, whatever. And as you can see, I have a pretty nice interface that I can use my arrow keys and more, and maybe write like a normal text editor, and that's cool. But I want to show you, I want to add some new lines that you'll be able to notice the different from the different command that we are going to cover about head and tail. So I think that's all. I'm not going to cover nano at all. We are going to cover nano in the next episode, so don't worry about that. So that's nice. And let's see, for example, head my pretty file, whatever. And as you can see, we have more content that we already seen in this output, but we are only see the first 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You can change this using something that I always forget. So there is a reason that we have the man command. So let's see, and we can use -n or double hyphen lines to specify the lines that we are going to print. For example, if you see, are going to use the first 10 if we don't use this. So let's see, we for example, I don't know, let's see the first 5 lines. So we have head and 5, and I don't use a file at all. I don't pass as a file as argument. So let's go back, and as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's nice. And the same happen with the tail. If I use tail, my pretty file, whatever, and as you can see, I have a lot of space. I don't know why. I'm not pretty sure if I... okay, yeah, we have some spaces. So let's remove most of them and go back and use this one. And as you can see, we see the last 10 lines, but also I can use tails lines or line, I don't remember, like, I don't know, 4. I forget again, has a file as argument, like my pretty file, whatever. And as you can see, we have the last 4 lines, and also we can change this like 8, and that's all. I hope this video was helpful. In the next episode, we are going to cover some commands like a copy file or directories, move that file's directory, also remove or delete that file's on directories, and maybe if we have enough time, we are going to cover nano, or we are going to see nano in the next following episode. So I hope this video was helpful, and see you in the next time. Bye bye.